Hi guys, this is the Cool Cook speaking. I want to talk to you today about roasting meat. And one of the reasons I want to choose that is because every time I open a cookbook, even modern cookbooks, I still see the same old thing, which suggests that you should roast your meat initially at a high temperature, then turn it down, the temperature down, and carry on cooking the meat at a low temperature. Don't do it. Please, don't do it. What happens when you put your meat into that oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 degrees C, depending on where you live, is that the proteins are unnecessarily tortured by that high heat, and they open up, they expand, they lose a lot of their moisture. In fact, they lose most of their moisture, and with that moisture they lose an awful lot of the nutrients, which is the main reason that you're eating the meat in the first place. So the only reason you would do that is A, to make your meat a different colour, in other words to make it look more attractive, and there's a trick we can use, I'll talk about that in a minute, and get rid of that. Or because you happen to like chewing on protein that's the consistency of shoe leather. The best way to cook meat, any meat, is at a low temperature. Now this doesn't change the cooking time, which is what a lot of people think, but let me emphasize that. The cooking time remains exactly the same. What you do is you put your meat in at a temperature of, say, 180 degrees centigrade, which is about 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about gas mark 4. And you cook it for the entire period at that temperature. You can cook it even lower if you want. Chicken, for example, cooks very well at gas mark 3, which is, I think, 160 degrees centigrade. Can't remember offhand what it is Fahrenheit, but it's probably around about the 300 mark. And it still won't change your cooking time. The meat will cook anyway. The internal temperature of the chicken will still reach the requisite 90 degrees, it's actually 87 degrees C, that it needs to reach in order to be safe. As for colouring the meat, look, if you're really worried about what it looks like when it comes out of the oven, paint it with a bit of dark soy sauce before you put it in. I promise you, you won't taste it, and it'll add that little bit of colour without drying out the meat. So that's my lesson for today, folks. When you go into the kitchen next time, forget that the dial temperature on your oven goes up into those high numbers. Don't go any higher when roasting meat than 180 degrees centigrade, that's 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's gas mark 4 to 5. As far as cooking times go, well, I'm going to talk about that in another video, because I want to introduce you to a very high-tech piece of equipment that I use to judge that I'm sure you're all going to be very familiar with. So I'll talk to you in the next video. In the meantime, stay cool in the kitchen, eh?